Today, as the theme of the meeting goes, Fatigue Fridays. How many of us do expect for Fridays when we start the week on Monday morning? I am definitely one of them looking for Fridays on the Monday morning. But rather be approaching, I have my time for myself on Saturday and such meeting on Friday, which marks the end of the week. Hope all of us. Thank you. Having said that, as an SAA, I would like to lay the ground rules for the meeting today. Please make sure your camera is switched on. If you are concerned about your connectivity, at least when you speak, and please make sure you mute yourself during the session and don't forget to unmute when I speaking taboo topics about sex, religion, and politics. Thank you all. Handing over to the presiding officer, Hind.
Thank you. I hope the directives were clear to everybody. Not speaking on taboo topics. Whenever you're speaking, please switch on your camera and try to keep yourself on the mute when you are not the active speaker. Those are the directives. But once again, welcome everybody to our another online meeting. I have lost the count now, which online meeting is this. We have some guests with us today. We have the usual suspect, Toastmasters Sowmya. Hi, Sowmya.
Oh, hi, everybody.
And we have another Aristian with us, Milind. Hi, Milind.
Hey, I just.
Thank you. And we have our area G2 director, Ajay. Hi, Ajay.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this meeting. This sounds like a very unusual meeting because of the theme, which is Fatigue Fridays. If we are already fatigued, what are we doing in this meeting? That's an open question for our TMoD, whom I'm going to hand over to now. With that, let's just welcome our TMoD for the day, Toastmaster Sumedh.
Thank you, Presiding Officer Hind. Let me just start off by saying that my name is Sumedh and I'm not a terrorist, although I look like one. My mother has been reminding me all day long. She backs this up with the claim that I'm killing her, so apparently I'm a terrorist. I don't know why she says it, but yeah. So I think I owe an explanation to all of you who have joined this meet on why I chose the topic as Fatigue Fridays. About 2 weeks ago, we had elections for all the Toastmaster club officer roles. And I volunteered to be the club secretary. And I was really enthusiastic about this. I was planning and preparing a lot of things. And then suddenly we had an issue with one of the work-related issues popped up the night before the elections. And I was up all night. We were working on it. And then I slept at around 7 o'clock in the morning. I woke up at 3 o'clock. The meeting starts at 4. And I was really, really tired and exhausted, not feeling fresh about anything. I just came in here and people have told me that that was my best performance till date. So I realized at that moment that it is more of, even though it is a fatigued Friday kind of thing, that I could actually overcome all that and just be myself for about an hour and a half or so. So that was the whole reason to put this as the theme. And I hope that we can do something similar to what I was able to do that day. I know we have all had tough weeks. If I had tough weeks, then basically everyone else has had tougher weeks. I know that for sure. So having said that, I just think this 1.5 hours, we can take it off, have fun, and then go back to our own bowling mundane lives. That I should that I think would explain to everyone why I chose Fatigue Fridays. All right. Now, I think I made the rules pretty clear way before that we want to be a club which is quite formal and serious about what we do, but then that seriousness comes in as an abstract concept, and it does not have to be this way, having wearing three-piece suits and all that. So be casual, have fun, learn from others mistakes and make mistakes, that so that other people can learn, right? So with that, I would like to hand over to the general evaluator for the day. Ram, wanna be as cool as Sumedh the Superman Ongole. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh. I don't know if I'll succeed in being that, but let me get started. My role for today, fellow Toastmasters, guests, is to make sure that I watch everything all through this program, take notes, and share my report at the end of the meeting. I'll watch for things that should happen and should not happen. I'll watch each participant in the meeting, look for examples of preparation, enthusiasm, deviations from the template, and then share my report. To assist me, I'm going to have several people. To start off, the first person who will assist me is Bhargav, the gastronome Kodali. He's a stickler for time. His passion stems from the fact that to eat good food, you need it to be cooked just right, not overdone, nor too raw. And that made him understand the value of time. And he said, let me contribute. If I'm a gastronome, I want everyone to experience the value that time plays in your own good eating. Without much ado, welcome, Toastmaster Bhargav.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ram, for that introduction. Well, I am a foodie. It doesn't matter if it is cooked properly or if it is raw. I eat all kinds of food. I love all kinds of food. As much as my mom wants to call me Bukkad, I tried to search for a very nice adjective to describe myself, and I found the word gastronome. So I just put it as my middle name. Coming to today's role, I'm going to be the timer. As a timer, my job is to indicate the time take. My job is to, so as Toastmasters, we all love speaking, right? And it is very easy to lose track of time. So as a timer, my job is to indicate the time which you have taken to speak, and I want to use certain probes to indicate the time. When I show this green discarded file, it means that you have just crossed your threshold limit. I mean, this is the minimum time for which you have to speak. If you speak below that, it indicates that your speech would be disqualified. And when I change my screen background to yellow, that is this virtual background, it means that you have exceeded the permissible time and you would start to plan to wrap up your speech. And when I show this discarded diary, the red one, it means that you will have to stop your speech immediately and give a conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bhargav, for introducing the role of the timer and the help that you'll provide all the other participants in today's meeting. Moving on, the next person who will help me is Abhijit Kaul. He pledges to fight fatigue and serve as a protector, mentor, and friend to all the man, woman, and person cubs who are brave enough to walk the gauntlet today and play the role of Toastmasters. Without further ado, to explain the role, welcome Toastmaster Abhijit.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ram. You really did a great job to find out the meaning behind that middle name, or in general. I never really thought too much about picking one. I've been a big fan of Jungle Book ever since I was a child. And I was always fascinated by the Black Panther that goes by the name Bagheera in that series. Very recently, a photographer in Karnataka spotted a black panther after literally waiting for it 5 years, 12 hours a day. And the photos were like really, really fascinating. And I just, when Sumedh asked me a middle name, that's all that I could think of. So there's nothing more to that. Coming to my role, CRPF. To be honest, before I joined Toastmaster, I thought that meant Central Reserve Police Force. That's the only thing I knew about CRPF. 3.5 years, 4 years into Toastmasters, I still don't know what CRPF stands for in terms of Toastmasters context. So I decided to really not spend time on that and explaining that or making you be mindful of that at all, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Let me explain how. As, like, you know, are all examples of anything that is unnecessary in your sentence construction. So today, as I take over this role of AhCounter, I am going to ask you a few things so that I can continue in my fatigued situation that I am in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you to play the role of AhCounter today. How you're going to do that? As you come over to speak and you're in the spotlight today, I expect you to do only two things. First, try to speak really slow. There is no need to rush. Just take your own time. Nobody is really trying to push you out of the stage except for the timer. As long as you're within the time, try to be very concise. While you're doing that, just make a mental note of ahs and ums that you're going to use today. At the end of this meeting, when I come back to present my report, I will tell you my report with your report. And let's see how many times you catch yourself making that mistake, because that's the end, that's the eventual expectation that you have to take away from this role. So that's the one thing that I would expect you to do. Secondly, we have our treasurer here as well. For every filler word that you use today, please be ready to multiply that into 10 rupees. And at the end of the meeting, we'll have our treasurer know about the total amount that is going to be donated towards the club expenses moving forward. Finally, even though unintended or misplaced pauses can also be considered as filler words, today I'm going to excuse you for using that if I see you doing that in an effort to actually avoid the filler words that we are really trying to get away from. All the best to all the speakers. Just be conscious and keep it simple. That's all you need at the end of the day. Back to Toastmaster G. Ram.
And last but not the least, I want to introduce the grammarian of the day. He fancies himself with the title of Arjun the Smooth Khattri. He swears that he will dispense equally of the smooth as he will of the rough, because he's going to play this role of the prickly grammarian. He's really picky. Watch it, guys. Welcome, Toastmaster Arjun.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ram, for your lovely introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Toastmaster Sumedh sent out a message with today's theme. And when I read that, I thought to myself, I am not physically fatigued. That is all thanks to my supreme fitness levels and athletic nature, although I'm not here to brag. But when I went on reading the instructions and suggestions, I just realized that some mental fatigue had kicked in. After reading everything, I would like to thank Sumedh for explaining me with a great example. Explaining it to me, sorry. Today, I'll be talking about my role as a grammarian. I'll be focusing on the key areas of articles, prepositions, subject-verb agreements, and correct usage of grammar. I will also applaud good vocabulary used. Speaking of vocabulary, I guess it's time to talk about the word of the day. The word of the day is famished. I chose this word because whenever I'm feeling low, I am always hungry and I need good food to cheer myself up. Famished means extremely starving. With that being said, I'll hand over the dice back to Toastmaster Ram.
Thank you. To get started, I'd like to go ahead and then call upon the speech evaluator for the day. If the speech evaluator will step up for our first speech, please. Kindly go ahead and introduce yourself. Please unmute yourself, Sowmya, and you can get started.
Hello, Toastmasters. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Yes, all right. Hi there. My week started smooth as a snug as a bug in a rug until this morning when I was in utmost important call and my 4-year-old daughter pulls out the headset. There goes the system into speaker mode and the call ends. She was as happy as a lark that my meeting ended, wherein I went through a traumatic 1 hour of fixing the BIOS issue. Meanwhile, I get a message from Sumedh. And that kind of got me into a confident mode where it said Fatigue Friday, and I'm sure of having some fun here. And that's when I named myself Sanguine Sowmya. I wasn't sure if someone's going to be calling out my name, so I was waiting for that. That's why there was a delay in the beginning. Now, coming back to my role as an evaluator, I will be evaluating Toastmaster Rahul, who will be delivering his level 1 speech 1. And the objective is for Rahul to present a speech and receive feedback to be applied on his next speech. Best wishes, Rahul. Thank you.
Thank you, TM Sowmya. Sanguine Sowmya. So we have had the introductions done, but before we move on with the speech aspect for today, I just got reminded of this one memory I had from childhood when I was in my first class, as all of us were at some point or the other in our lives, unless you skip, but let's not go there. We all learned alphabets the same way, I guess. My teacher would say A and then he would repeat A. Then she would go on and do it for all the other alphabets, and we, as dumb idiots, would again repeat that over and over again until it stuck in our brain, right? In the past few Toastmaster meets, I have seen that we have not been using the word of the day much. We use it barely once or twice. So I thought that we can actually do a small experiment together, all right? So what I would want all of you to do is, I don't know how this is going to go, but what I would want all of you to do is unmute yourself, okay? And repeat after me whatever I'm going to say, okay? All of us will unmute now and repeat whatever I say, okay? So all of you are unmuted. I'm waiting for Fatima, Milind. Please unmute yourself. All right, I've opened up the Wikipedia page for famished, and we are going to read out the first example here, okay? Please repeat after me. I am famished. Is there anything to eat?
I am famished. Is there anything to
Is there
eat?
anything to eat?
Yeah, Arjun, although we all said it together, you count it as individual instances. And we have created the record using the, yeah.
All right.
We have created this record now. How many people are we here?
13. We are 13.
13 plus I used it once. So 14 already done. Break this record some other time. So epochal moment in our club. Anyway, moving forward. Today we have one speech, the only speech to be given by Toastmaster Rahul. When I asked Rahul what he does when what he does to disconnect, he told me that he orders food from Swiggy and sleeps, which basically aligns to my lifestyle as well. So I get what he's trying to do. And although it can be unhealthy, but what can we do about it, right? We are at that age wherein everything goes. So I'll call upon Rahul to give his speech now. And the middle name that he provided me was Rahul L1P2BS. Apparently, that is the most creative thing he could come up with. So I call upon Rahul L1P2BS, bias by Rahul L1P2BS.
I would request that I'm not to time this small segment. I too was tired and bored trying to prepare for the speech. So in order to make the process of preparing and delivering the speech much more smoother, I tried to learn a video editing and streaming tool, which I would be using in this speech. Nothing fancy, very basic. I would like to request you guys to switch to the speaker mode if you're in the gallery mode. Now, if my face covers 50% of your screen, we are good to go. I would like to request the timer back to start the time again. Okay, so how many of you here like to solve puzzles? No one? Okay.
Me.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a logical question. Maybe some of you have already come across this. Imagine you're working as an aviation scientist in the United States during the Second World War. Now, let's assume that out of all the planes going to the warfield, only 60% of the planes make it back successfully. Now, out of those planes which do not return back successfully, you see which do return back successfully, you see large number of them riddled with bullet holes. The peculiar thing about this bullet holes is that they're concentrated in a particular region. They're concentrated at the tail section, they're concentrated at the wing section. Now, if you see this image, the red dots represent the concentration of bullets on the flights that returned back successfully from the warfield. Now, the question is it possible for you to tell me by looking at this image where you would put extra armor so that a lot more planes can make it back successfully?
The tail.
Wings.
Okay, tail and wings. Well,
The triangle.
Yeah.
The triangle
No.
area.
The nose tip.
Okay, I've got a couple of right answers and wrong answers as well.
There is no point in doing anything now because we are talking about the Second World War. I mean, alas, but you can't do much.
So, but anyways, for those of you who said tail and wings is where you would put the extra armor, you are right on track as the real scientist working on this US during World War II. However, you would also be making the same mistake which the scientists did back then. So why is it wrong? Just like TM Ram found out, a scientist called Abraham Wald later found out that if the planes do return successfully with the bullet wounds in its tails and wing section, then that would mean that it's not dangerous for the bullets to hit those regions, right? Now, the region where you do not see red dots are the places that are more vulnerable, and any bullets to those regions would have taken the plane down immediately. And those planes wouldn't even have returned back. So the plane has to be coated with armor, not where the return planes have received bullet holes, but in places where they do not have bullet holes. I hope that was clear. Now, this is a classic example of the first type of bias that I wanted to talk about, which is called the survivorship bias. Before we go further, let's see what exactly is a bias, or specifically in this case, what exactly is a cognitive bias. It's a systematic deviation from rationality in your judgment, which leads to illogical interpretations. The cognitive bias is usually a consequence of our brain trying to take shortcuts to make the decisions much faster. In the example I stated before, the brain took the shortcut of considering only the information on the planes that had returned back, and it failed to even bother about those planes which did not even make it back. It's easy to see how a similar scenarios manifests in our real life. For example, there are many people who are tempted to start a business just by looking at the winners in a particular business space, while they fail to consider all those losers or all those millions of equally good business which did not make it to the mark. There are different ways to overcome the different types of bias. Now, for the survivorship bias, which I talked about, do not just look at the winners or the survivors. Try to look at the failures and try to get the complete picture. I will be talking about two more such bias we encounter in our everyday life. The second type of bias that I want to talk about is called the anchoring bias, where an individual depends too heavily on a first piece or the initial piece of information that is presented to him. A good example would be if we go to a store and see a t-shirt priced at 1,000 rupees first, and then we see a t-shirt priced at, let's say, 500 rupees, we are prone to see the second t-shirt as being much cheaper. However, if you had just seen only the second t-shirt, you probably wouldn't have considered it as cheap. There's a classic sales strategy where a dummy product is marked much higher to make the other products look much more economical. So now, how do we work around with this bias? Always set your own anchor based on your personal or professional needs, and never depend too much on the first piece of information presented to you. By the way, on a lighter note, it's the same reason why you feel so comfortable taking another role after being asked to take a TMoD role. The initial anchor was set at the TMoD role, and everything else after that looks much easier. The third type of cognitive bias that I'm going to be talking about is called the confirmation bias. Now, confirmation bias is a type of cognitive bias that involves favoring information that basically only take in the information that conforms to your existing beliefs. People who strongly support, or if they're against a particular existing beliefs. For example, in case of elections, we seek out positive information on the people who support. We try to seek out negative information on the people who we do not support. And even if we do find positive information on the people who we do not support, we try to interpret in a negative way. When this happens, there's high possibility that we make the wrong decisions, which we wouldn't have otherwise. Now, to overcome this bias, always try to be more curious, more objective, and try making an effort to listen to what others or other sources have to say and why. Thank you for listening to me. That's it from my side. Over to the Toastmaster of the day, Sumedh.
Thank you, TM Rahul. You know, it is always gratifying to know that next week's Toastmaster meeting will be better personally for me than this one, because I will be taking up the GE role after a TMoD role. So thank you for, providing that hope that I might have to do a lesser work, or it will be much easier for me to do that. Anyway, so one more thing which I wanted to point out before we move on to the next section is that I asked all of you to provide me with one creative middle name. No one actually asked me what's all that about. They already thought that, this is something crazy that he usually comes up with, which is absolutely correct. You are absolutely right. But then there is a backstory for that too. I recently went to a virtual meet for a club, and they asked me to provide a middle name all of a sudden. And I came up with two middle names. One was Sumedh Void Shouter Nadendla, as in the guy who shouts in voids. And the other one was Sumedh Abyss Whisperer Nadendla. I don't know why I have this infatuation with voids and abysses, but those were the only two names I could come up with. And I thought, are the fellow Toastmasters like me, or can they come up with better names? So that is why I came up with that job of you getting and creating your own names. So that, I think, explains the backstory for that. Anyway, the next person is going to be the table topics master for the day. And this person, to disconnect from life, he sits in the sun because that reminds him of childhood, it seems. He is none other than Hind Geel. Hind, over to you.
That's Hind Lakkadbagga. For people who know what a Lakkadbagga is, who all know what a Lakkadbagga is? Oh my God, so many people do not know what a Lakkadbagga is. Oh my God, that's the fanciest word in Hindi, by the way. Lakkadbagga, you'll not find a fancier word. It means hyena. That's it. It's an animal. All right, table topic session. I want everybody's attention right now. Sowmya, I hope you're done with your evaluation. And everybody, please switch on your cameras. Rahul, Fathima, Suresh Kumar, please switch on your camera. I want everybody's attention because everybody will be speaking first time ever, and everybody will be closely listening at all the times because that's required. All right, so before I introduce the model of today's table topic session, let me just talk about a little bit about impromptu speaking, which I'm trying to touch upon during this session. So impromptu speaking, I think the process of it can be divided into thinking and framing. Thinking is something that happens most of the time. It's an unconscious effort. When you are given a word, when you're given an idea, you kind of form an opinion about it. If I just happen to speak a random word right now, let's say sugar, you have an opinion about it. You definitely do. Pig, you do have an opinion about it. Framing, that is the difficult task, to put the idea into words, right? And that is what we are going to try in table topic session, to impromptu speak on those thoughts that we have about an idea. We have to try to progressively improve in our impromptu speaking. And the first step to that, in my opinion, is speak in whole sentences. If you have an idea, speak a complete sentence and then move to the next idea. If you are going to, the way that it works is, that is what exactly I did right now. I had a thought, now I have a better thought, and I stopped my sentence in between. What that does to your speech is, it breaks the flow. It jars the audience. So today what we are trying to do is speaking in full sentences, and once again, everybody will participate. So today's table topic session is called The Storyteller Within. All right. Can you all give me a thumbs up if you listen to that? Sowmya, hi. Thank you. Rahul, please let me see you. All right. So the way this will work is, we have what, 12, 15 people. So let everybody participate. We will make groups of 3, 3, 3 or 4, 4, 4. 3, 3, 3 sounds good. And then I will give a prompt to the first speaker. There are 3 speakers. Speaker A will speak first, then B,
Just
then
a second, Hind. There are 15 people, including you.
I understand that. I'll just say, okay, we'll divide it into 4, 3, 3, 3 or 3, 3, 4, 4. However it works.
No, I meant to ask, are you also taking part?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
All right.
I think you should.
No, I have to do some duties of my own as the table topic master, which do not allow me. All right, let's once again to tell you about the model. So 3 people or 4 people will come on board. I will give a prompt. Let's say speaker number A, B, and C. A will speak first, then B, then C, then A again, then B, then C, and this loop will go for 3 to 4 times. All right, with me up to now, everybody. Hi, Abhijit.
I am slightly confused because so is there a cycle of?
Yes. So every speaker will speak no less than 2 lines and for not more than 6 to 7 lines maximum. The prompt that will be given to you is a storytelling prompt. You can begin your story from that and then speak 2 to 6 lines, and then it goes to the next speaker. Then he adds on to the story, he or she adds on to the story, then it goes to the next person. Adds on to the story, then it goes loops over again. So that's how the story gets built. That's why it's called the storyteller within. With me? All right. Now, audience, what we'll be doing is, after every slot, we will be voting for the best person within the group. For every 3 people speaking, we'll be voting for the best person, and then the winner of all the groups will then compete in the finals of the table topic storytelling within session. I just coined the name. All right. Is the model clear to everybody? Audience, what we are on the lookout for is for the speaker to build on the story, to complete their sentences, and to speak. If they end up speaking better and much more creatively, that's all bonus. To the speakers, don't start speaking orthogonally. So if we are, let's say, talking about aeroplanes, don't start talking about earthquakes all of a sudden without any relation. There has to be a relation. Build on the story. All right. Okay, now I think I have explained a lot. Let's have the first three. Otherwise, I'm just going to go, serially and choose. Everybody participates, even TMoD, Grammarian, Timer, AhCounter, everybody participates. So Grammarian and AhCounter, you can choose to give up on your job right now.
I think you might want to start with people who don't have roles first.
So I have Ajay. Who else? Shreya and Supriya. Great. All right. So the first speaker will be Ajay. Second will be Supriya. Second will be Shreya. Third will be Supriya. All right. The prompt for you, Ajay, is: as Amit tucked himself into bed, the air around him froze, and a demonish voice whispered in his ear, "Shh, it's your turn now."
Hello, son. Today is the day you will change the world. For today is going to be the biggest day in your life. You are going to do something that you have never done in your life before. It is going to be the greatest day in your life. You will be on the stage addressing 5,000 people, and you will say something to them that will change their lives forever. I stopped when you showed the red symbol.
You think that this might not affect them as much, but you are mistaken. These people look at you for their inspiration. You know what you have done. Do you? Do you realize the gravity of how you have impacted this world? And that is something that you have to pass on to the youth, to the younger generation, to look up to and hope to get there someday.
With this being said, with this being heard, Ajay woke up from his bed and then he started to, he started his daily routine. He's still thinking of, okay, now there's a lot of burden on me. I have to complete whatever I have heard, at least do whatever I've heard.
The day began, a day that I decided to change the world. I stepped out and I made a pledge that I will stop using paper cups because this is the No Plastic July month. I made a pledge and I made everyone in my house pledge to that. No paper cups are going to be used in our house this whole month. And hopefully that will continue for the months to follow and the years to follow. And that is the message that I'm spreading to the whole world. This is going to be easy. It's not a difficult task.
Also, I think now I'm beginning to second guess myself. Sustainability, how easy is that? And that is something where people look for failures more than successes because they want to believe that what they're doing today is just fine. That cup of chai every 2 hours that they had in that cup lined with plastic was okay and it was not contributing much.
Yes, so now he's in a confusion. He decided not to use plastic cups, but he's eager to have some chai. And what to do in this situation of corona? He's really worried if if he decides not to use the paper cups, will are the original the glasses are actually cleaned properly or not? And now he really don't know what to do, and he still decided to use the cup, but he's feeling guilty for using the plastic cup.
I definitely did feel guilty for using the plastic cup, but then I decided to make a change. For today is the day that I am going to change the world. I went to the supermarket and picked up the steel tumblers. So from now on, I'm not going to use plastic. I will always use a steel tumbler. And I'm going to carry this with me to carry everywhere I go. This is going to be there with me. And everywhere I'm going to drink coffee or tea from the steel tumbler and not a paper cup.
Yes, that's right. I will motivate myself and I will motivate others too. Why stop at just myself? I will go to office today and I will make sure that I make some noise and I try to get plastic cups off in my office as well. And why just stop at plastic cups? I can do more. I can do better. I need to really inspire people. I need to inspire people who are looking up to me. So maybe I can try some more. Maybe I can stop eating all these snacks that contribute to the one-time plastic.
All right, now I have done enough. I've had my chai. I thought whatever I wanted to think. Now it's high time I go to office. And I have a job to be completed there as well. And that's when I decided, okay, now let's get to office. And as soon as I entered the lift and I pressed 11th floor in the lift, I noticed something there. I saw my manager standing right next to me, having juice in a plastic cup, in a paper cup. Should I tell something or?
I decided to make a change and I decided to change the world. My manager is just one person in this entire world. And if I lose a job, there are so many other companies. When I'm going to change the world, I'm sure people will observe me. People will know the difference I've made. And I'm sure there'll be many companies willing to offer me a job. So it doesn't matter if a manager decides to fire me because I made him change.
On the other hand, he is my manager and he controls my fate in this company. How should I be approaching him? How, thinking of an approach, I think that, okay, hey Nitin, how many cups of coffee do you drink in a day?
Cut. All right. I should have been a little clear about what will be my signal for the final round. So this will be, from now on, this will be my signal that you have to wrap up now. The last speaker, this will be my signal that you have to wrap up now. Otherwise, I'll keep showing this to switch. Okay. All right. Clear to the rest of the speakers. So now we are going to put the link for voting in the chat window, and I would request everybody to please go ahead and vote. Is everybody voting? Great, I have received 7 responses. I see 13 people. Apart from the speakers, I'm guessing everybody should vote. All right, we have all the votes. We have the winner of this round. Let's get the next 3 speakers. Okay, if nobody's gonna raise their hands, I am going to pick. Oh, we have Arjun. Arjun, who else? Quickly, guys, there's no time to waste. Avinash? All right, Arjun, Avinash, and Sumedh. Great. So the order will be Arjun, Avinash, Sumedh. Do remember, when I show this, switch. When I do this to the last speaker, you have to end there. All right. So the prompt for you, Arjun, is: the school bell rang earlier than usual that day. The frantic teacher screamed, "Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate," as the alarm bells blared with the announcement of the impending earthquake.
When I heard those alarm bells, I was pretty shocked. There hadn't been an earthquake for the past 10 years. I'd heard of stories of some tectonic disturbances, but I was a small kid when my parents used to talk about that. I was shocked, but at the same time, I was excited because I wanted to know the aftermath of this event.
So it was a great opportunity for me, even though it was kind of a panic situation. But my interest over earthquake made me more curious. So I just started thinking instead of moving away, even though bell rang, I was moving so slowly that I didn't bother how the people are rushing. I was actually wanted to be there and see how the earthquake happens, not realizing that I'll not be present after earthquake to know how it happened, to know the aftermath.
Daydreaming as I was, as one always does during an earthquake, I stood there like a statue, thinking how the atmosphere and the pressures and the tectonic plate movements were happening. Engrossed in my own daydreams, I suddenly got hit on my back by a bulldozer, by a really angry teacher, and said, "What are you doing? Run for your life, you idiot." And so I started to run. And so I ran, and I ran, and I ran.
Well, while I was running, I just realized that apart from me, there is one person whom I should be protecting in this school. I knew that Shweta was in the class across, and I wanted to know whether she'll be safe or not. I quickly thought that maybe if I can just get out of this evacuation line and search for her and make sure that she is safe, I can prove to be the hero of her dreams. And so I ran towards class 10B.
Well, with all the love in my eyes, I would say it's not love, maybe the attraction, affection. So I started looking for Shweta. So when I started, there were so many girls, I was not able to find her. I panicked. If she fall in between, or did she run away before me? I just wanted to find out. I went into the class, I went to every corner. She was not there. I just started searching other rooms. I actually wanted to shout Shweta, but I don't want to get out, get other people to know that I'm liking her.
And as I was looking for Shweta, I just heard a big boom across the hall. I thought, well, Shweta is not worth risking a life. And so I ran out of the building. I ran out of the building as soon as I can, as fast as I could. Later on, again, in hindsight, Roshan came before me and evacuated Shweta away, as is always the case. So the moral of this story is, when you are in an evacuation for an earthquake, please leave the room. Please stay safe for yourself first and then think about others.
And while I was self-introspecting my decision to not look for Shweta, but rather run out, I realized that I did save my life in the end. But I knew that this life will be lonely because I did not fight for her and gave it up to Roshan. I also realized that there are times heroes are made when heroes do not think about themselves, but they decide to protect others.
So realizing that, I moved away and I started walking, and then I found a beautiful girl who was running from the evacuation. So then my second love started. I just understood it's never the last one. It keeps on going on. So you can, then I instead of going to my home, I started following her. Maybe I thought because she was not from our school, it was happening throughout the area. So she was from some other school. I thought I'd lose her. So I just started following her.
As I was following her, the earthquake for which we evacuated the school hit, and she fell into my arms. That was finally a dream come true.
All right, I think Sumedh cannot control himself, and that is the end of this round. So once again, please, people, go and head to the voting link and vote for the best storyteller of this round. Go, 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 go. I need at least 10 votes there.
The same link, Hind?
Yes, yes.
But it's not giving me any. Hold on.
Actually, it is not usable because we
Yeah.
have already submitted a
Correct.
response. So even if
You just
edit it-
reload, command shift reload. That should remove the cache if there is anything.
Worked for me.
Yep, worked for me also.
So I see we have received all the responses.
No, I haven't done
Oh,
it.
then I'm counting wrong. Okay, yeah. One is remaining while
The reload is not helping in my case.
not helping.
No.
All right, then you can privately message me your choice, and I'll take it into account. All right, moving on to the next round. I need 3 more speakers, 3 more. Come on. So I have chosen Fatima without her own. I should not say consent. That'll come out completely wrong. Fatima, will you please participate?
Yeah.
All right. Fatima is the one participant. Abhijit, would you like to go?
Sure.
Fatima, Abhijit, who else? Bhargav. Milind.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So it's Fatima first, then Abhijit, then Milind. That's the order. And I am going to give the prompt to Fatima. And once again, when I show this switch, when finally I show this, the speaker has to wrap up. All right. Okay. So Fatima, your prompt is: the world was watching us as the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The first manned mission to Mars was about to take off.
Hey, what's the last statement?
The first manned mission to Saturn was about to take off.
Saturn. Very good evening. So the world is watching us. Me, Abhijit, and Milind are starting the journey now. We are starting the journey to the planet Saturn, and I'm actually I don't know anything about it. I just trusted Abhijit and Milind, and I'm on the journey now. All I know is we are traveling to a planet called Saturn, and I know it's one of the planet, and that's the knowledge I have right now. And the world is watching us. The countdown began, and we started. I feel all the change of event around me.
The only reason I nominated myself for this mission is because my dad happened to gift me a telescope, and one night I just looked at the Saturn rings, and I just thought it would be so cool to go there and literally run on those rings. I grew up, became matured enough to understand I really can't do that, and even if I couldn't really experience what I thought I could be experiencing. So there's no point really trying to go behind this mad mission. But somehow, in my dream, somebody told me, you have to go on this mission. Your fortune lies on Saturn. So here I am.
And the countdown sounded like my heartbeats going slowly down the drain. And then it was all suddenly from 10 to 0, it did happen. And then we lost all the control completely. And we were spinning completely uncontrollable while going up towards the Saturn. Totally lost the track of the time, totally lost track of all the dimensions of the life, and started moving towards Saturn. It was feeling like a daydream where you have no boundaries, no control at all.
The journey began. We stopped hearing the sounds around us. We were progressing up towards the sky. We don't know what's going to happen. We might come back successfully, or we might be nowhere. The fear in me was going high and high, but still I believed. Yes, we would take part in the record in the history books that me, Milind, and Abhijit stepped up in the Saturn first.
Just as we were conversating with each other about how thrilling and how proud this mission is going to make us and the country, one of the jet engines stopped, one of the rocket engines stopped working altogether. And at that moment, we all froze. Milind and Fatima were really, really scared. And I thought, why the hell I'm not scared? Why am I thinking about eating pizzas and not being able to watch cricket when I should be really concerned about my life?
And then slowly the system came back to life and everything was smooth. But suddenly a thought came into my mind that initially Hind had said that the mission was to Mars, but now we are moving towards Saturn. Why is it the case? And then slowly, because we lost the consciousness of the total spinning into the space, it was all dreaming all around us. And I went into the dreaming station, and then I started dreaming about, okay, we can do nice trekking on the different mountains on the Saturn.
So yes, I was actually inspired seeing the brilliant minds of Milind and Abhijit. As I already told, I'm totally ignorant about what's happening around, and I was just part of this journey. The brilliant minds made the engines which stopped working to make it work back, and now we are on the way, hoping for a very good step in on the Saturn land, and expecting what the Saturn would be. And I was delightful to have a journey with people with, yeah.
Just as we were collectively fascinated, collectively dreaming about how Saturn would look like, suddenly a sound came to our ear. ISRO to Saturn area 007, we are about to leave the gravity of the Earth. If you want to change your mind, this is your last chance. You can open the door and jump down. There are enough parachutes for you to make that happen. I just realized it was enough for me for missing cricket and everything, and I just took my parachute and jumped out.
And I thought the other way. I saw Abhijit jumping down using the parachute, whereas I was at the other end of the world, other end of the universe, where I was dreaming to reach Saturn as soon as possible. And doing that, as I said, it was a fantastic journey. That was the beginning of it. And then I was looking forward to completely to reach the Saturn and looking very closely the Saturn rings that we always look through the satellite. Thank you.
That's a great story, guys. That kept on switching between something or the other, kept on happening to your satellite. It was never one thing. But amazing story building, guys. Once again, the voting link is up. Please go ahead and vote for the best storyteller of this round. The names have been updated. If you do not see the updated names, you can message me privately your choice of the best storyteller.
Can you post the link again in the chat?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, all the responses have been received. Finally, Bhargav, Ram, and Rahul. Am I missing anyone? Sowmya, would you like to participate? 3 out of you. So one will have to stand. One will have to stay out. I am sorry, guys. My counting is not that good. Ram, Bhargav, Rahul, Sowmya.
I'll stay out.
All right. Rahul, Sowmya, and Ram. So the order is Rahul, Sowmya, and Ram. All right. Thumbs up, people. You got that? Great. So your prompt is.
Guys, I'm not even audible. Hello, did you hear me? I said I want to stay out. I'm really not good with this.
All right, Bhargav, you are back in. Okay, Rahul, Bhargav, and Ram. That will be the order. The prompt, Rahul, is Rahul was driving around the hills of Netherlands and suddenly he bumped into a human. He came out of his car to see that he had just hit Priyanka Chopra and she was bleeding on the road.
I just come out of the car and see Priyanka Chopra on the ground, lying in a pool of blood. And right then, my friend comes out and shouts at me, "Let's run away. Let's run away. Let's not get into this. We are not even from this country. If we get caught, we'll be stuck here forever. And who knows what? We can't even afford to have a proper lawyers. So let's just run away from here." Then I tell him, "No, that's not how it should be done. She's still alive."
Bhargav, mute.
While we were planning an escape route, something stuck to my mind. This would not be Priyanka Chopra. This would be a lookalike. This wouldn't be Priyanka Chopra because just a day before, I've seen Priyanka Chopra with Nick Jonas in South Africa, and she was gonna be there for some couple of days. And this would definitely not be Priyanka Chopra. This is definitely a lookalike. So we thought.
I was a bystander. I urged Bhargav to think again. If he could travel from South Africa to Netherlands, why couldn't Priyanka do? I urged him, hey, think again. Are you sure about your conclusion? Why don't you render first aid? Why don't you think, whether it is Priyanka Chopra or somebody else, don't you think it's our duty as good citizens of India, of the Toastmasters Club, to render first aid?
Right then, someone taps on my shoulder. Right then, I realize that it's my mom. And she tells me to take off the VR gear that I'm wearing and to come over, stop playing that stupid car simulator, the game that I've been playing for so long with my friends online. Then I take my VR gear off. I tell my friends that I'm signing off. And that's it for my day today. And I urge Bhargav to take the control of the car.
Well, of my mother, I just removed the VR gear out. But still, I yearned for something to play because I was so much fatigued after a long week. And this was the weekend. So this was Friday evening. So I wanted to play something else. So then I switched on to PUBG. I started playing PUBG with my friends. And now I landed with my parachute upon Pakistan. Some of the terrorist camps of Pakistan.
This was even more puzzling to me. First of all, we are talking about somebody going from South Africa to Netherlands and not sure, hey, am I in South Africa or am I in Netherlands? And you're going gallivanting all over the world now. I'm famished for real information. Am I in virtual reality world? Am I in the real world? I'm totally puzzled. At this time, I decided the best way to do something is to initiate a debate. And that's what good Toastmasters are for.
And then I start debating with my friends. I tell him that this is the year 2012 or 2011 and Osama bin Laden is still right next to us in Abbottabad. I tell him that we should take a tour there and try to get that $1 million he has on his head. And then we start moving towards the Abbottabad.
Well, this $1 million wouldn't be a real bounty. As we are playing PUBG, this would be a virtual bounty. And as much as our virtual bystander, Ram, has been warning us not to go to Abbottabad, we still wanted to go to that place and catch Bin Laden and be the unsung winners of PUBG game. Because we have caught the most wanted terrorists in the world, though it is virtual.
As the adage goes, when you can't beat them, join them. So I decided to throw in my lot with them. I looked at the Abbottabad Gardens and I realized that while I'm not good at playing PUBG, at least let me be a geologist and survey that boundary. I realized that compound was 83 meters by 27 meters. Whatever the other people told you were all wrong.
Oh my God. You guys just cannot stick to one single theme. From the hills of Netherlands almost killing Priyanka Chopra to almost killing Osama bin Laden. That was a roller coaster ride. Once again, the names are up and the voting link is out there. Please go ahead and vote for the best storyteller of this round. All right, so we have winners of all the 4 rounds who will now be competing in the grand finale of the storytelling jam. Are you ready for the finalists? All right, Arjun, I have received your vote. Thank you. So the finalists are from round 1, it's Ajay. From round 2, it's Arjun. Round 3, Milind. And round 4, Ram. Congratulations, guys. All right, so the 4 of you now will follow the same strategy. Continue a story. Now, one thing that I don't know got lost somewhere in the translation is it is a continuous story. You are not playing you. It's a continuous story happening mostly in the past. You can choose to play anybody. You don't have to play you. It's a disclaimer. If you still want to play you, all very well. Cool. So the order that we'll go by now is the order of the round itself. The first person will be Ajay, then Arjun, then Milind, and then Ram. Once again, I'll show, it'll be for 3 rounds. I'll show this to switch, and finally I'll show this to end it. Understood? Everyone with me? Great. So the prompt for this round is, Munna Michael was shaking. He was bewildered, he was surprised, and he was shaken to his core. He pulled out the magical sword out of his pocket and slayed the wings of the green dragon down to the earth. Ajay?
Ajay, you're on mute.
Mute.
That's exactly what happens when you don't take out the sword in time. With that sword, Michael killed that great dragon. A dragon which was not easy to be killed, but with great difficulty. It was achieved. And how it was achieved is a story to be told in itself.
Yeah. Arjun.
Well, being Michael, I had this prophecy which was told by a priest to my parents that your son will grow up and kill this dragon who had slayed his whole clan but left his family alone. It was in my destiny to go ahead and face the killer of my clan and kill this dragon. It had been a very tough journey, but I had to go through a lot of difficulty. I had to train under a great sensei, my master, who taught me all the necessary arts and tricks required for fighting a dragon.
And there I was, falling from the cliff, and the dragon was right below me, flying with his wingspan, spanning across at least 10 feet each side. And, and I had given myself up and threw myself up into the valley along with the dragon. And the sword, I was trying to find it out. And when it came to my hands, I just pulled it out and started cutting the dragon.
Dragons as mighty as the one that Michael slayed are not slayed by human power alone. There must be an element of mysticism about it. The masters who taught me were great. They also imbued me with a lot of spiritual prowess. I could just think about which part of the dragon had to drop off, and it would. All that you needed was to focus. Now remember, focusing is not an easy art. It'll take you years and years of meditation to be able to a little bit of what the human mind is capable of.
It is true. To kill a mighty dragon, you do need the help of wizards and spiritual masters. And the spiritual master and the wizard who helped us in this was none other than Harry Potter. Harry Potter taught us how we could slay that dragon and actually kill that dragon with his secret powers, which he passed on to us just for one day so that we could slay that dragon. And guess what that magical power was?
Well, the magical power was passed on as a saying, as a riddle which I had to solve. Basically, when I was cutting the dragon, it kept on regenerating its parts. And I thought to myself, why does it keep coming back alive? Why does it keep fighting? And then the riddle was, a person keeps fighting unless its spirit is broken. I am just cutting the physical parts. I have to break its soul. I have to get to the bottom of the soul and kill this dragon.
And there it was. I was imagining the dragon just like COVID-19 virus. Primarily because there is no solution right now. And to figure it out what the solution is going to be, the entire world was fighting for it. And the dragon was going on and on and on, killing the entire population across the world. So it was super important to act like a scientist and figure it out that what is going to be the solution for this dragon to be killed. Cut his any part, it's going to be regenerated. Cut his head, it's going to be regenerated. What do I do?
It is all the more reason why we should socially distance ourselves. Stand away. Pick a ball should be at least 20 feet away from you. Now think, the powers of transcendental meditation are not minuscule. When you really focus, a 3-inch ball can become a 20 feet ball. When you do that, the powers of the JD are with you.
With these powers, we went closer and closer in our battle to kill the dragon. Yes, we maintained distance from the dragon because we knew that we could now use our spiritual powers to kill the dragon. And we started killing each part of it, slowly distancing from it. Arjun?
Oh, okay, I thought in that one. So while I was in the battle with with the dragon, I decided that all this knowledge aside, I had to stick to what my sensei told me and what the prophecy was, that I had to break down its soul. So I entered into a dialogue with the dragon and I spoke to him saying that you are very mighty, you are huge, and you keep generating, you don't back down. But look at me, I am a mere mortal and I still keep on fighting. You really think you can take me on? You can take on a mere mortal? You haven't defeated me yet. I started questioning his purpose of fighting and I started breaking down his spirit, making him realize that he has met his match.
And that was the only way this could have been killed, was based on the spirits. Everybody's spirits had to be lifted, just like as everybody is slowly fighting against the COVID-19 virus. And it had to be found, some or the other solution. And finally, the idea was to go behind, basically make your lungs stronger, equivalent to that, make your power stronger and go behind this dragon as much as you can. And with the meditation and with the power of the mind, kill this dragon.
Harry Potter himself went through a bunch of regenerative things in the last few years. He decided fighting is a poor technique. The best way to defeat is to gain victory and mastery over oneself. He decided to apply that. He spoke with the dragon. Mr. Dragon, my friend, why don't we be friends? I mean, how about we get together and have a grand party? Why should we fight? Why should we assault each other? And with that,
in that party, we realized that the dragon loves a green drink, which is also known as a green tea. And we realized that the green tea is something that can be used.
Ajay, that was the final one.
Okay.
Hind, I have a suggestion, like for these, if you show gestures, sometimes the video does not come up because only 4 video screens can come in some layouts.
Oh, okay.
If you vocally say cut, it will be more audible to the rest of the team because sometimes we can't see, sometimes we can see. It's actually randomly.
Got it. Thank
Nice
you
job,
once again,
guys.
all the storytellers. We kept on switching from Snake the Dragon to Harry Potter to COVID. Who would have thought COVID? My God. That was some roller coaster ride. Once again, the voting link is out there. Please go ahead and vote for the best storyteller of the finale. Thank you.
right? As we are voting, I like to say something which I just observed while we were doing this table topic session. Everyone came in with an idea of what they wanted to say, which was in most of the cases vastly different from what the preceding person said. That is the reason we were tangling between the topics. In my case, one of us wanted to go out on a date with Shweta, the other one wanted to live a lonely life, right? And the third one was a guy who was, okay, maybe I can go out with Shweta or some other person. As long as I get someone, we are fine, right? So all these things to get put together in a single story, I think that was the roller coaster ride, and that brought out the best of all of us. So I hope we are done with the voting links, voting stage right now.
Everybody
Are
has not
we done?
voted. I would request everybody to vote. We have 14 people over here.
All right. By the way, Milind, Saturn is made up of helium and hydrogen. No mountains there. Anyway, so that concludes with the table topic session. We'll now move on to the evaluation part of the session today. So I would like to pass on the baton to Ram, wanna be as cool as Sumedh the Superman.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Sumedh. Without much ado, I'll call upon the evaluator for the first speech, Sowmya, Toastmaster Sowmya, to please come up and on screen and present her report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ram. Toastmaster Rahul LP1, L1P2 BS, that's what he likes to be called himself. Congratulations on starting your path on a fatigue Friday. You connected really well with the audience by starting with a question. You also use a paper plane to make the audience connect and bring in some curiosity. So that was really good. And you beautifully paused after questions. You waited for the audience to come back with answers. And the question, you gave that time for the audience to sink in, right, the question. So that was very well done. You spoke about different types of biases, explained really well. You so influence the Toastmasters over here to take up the TMoD role, which means if you do the TMoD role, every other role becomes a cakewalk, which kind of boosts everybody here. And now coming to the flip side, once you have questioned in any your audience, you need to acknowledge the people who have actually raised hands. You just have to look at the screen so that you acknowledge their answers. And when you spoke about different kinds of bias, you were like a super fast train, or you were super fast. So just go and you should be I'm not sure whether timer, I did not see the timer. I hope he's met the time.
Am I the only one not hearing her?
I think she's somewhere you're not audible.
Yeah, you're breaking.
You're breaking up a lot.
Now, is it okay now?
Not really.
That sentence was okay.
I will share offline with Rahul, but otherwise, well done, Rahul, with your speech, rate of speech, and that you should be doing great in your second speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sowmya, for that report. I'll now call upon the timer, Bhargav. I hope he is a good gastronomical experience, and he'll share with us all the reports about how good we were and bad we were with the times.
Well, we are already way over time. So I'd like to keep the report concise and short. Give you your individual times. There were just two outliers in the as far as the time is concerned: the AhCounter and table topics master, the introduction parts. Rest everyone were within time. The AhCounter was supposed to take 1 minute. He took 2 minute 45 seconds. You could improve upon that. You would have made the introduction more concise. And then the table topic master was supposed to introduce the table topics in 2 minutes. He took 5 minutes. Well, this was a novel table topic session, so I would give him a cut. But then I feel he would have made it more concise. And then general impression on the meeting was that table topic session took almost like 40 minutes. But in the schedule, it was supposed to be for 20 minutes. So it is expected, if it is expected that the table topic sessions would take more time, it would be better if you could coordinate with the person making the schedule so that we could be on time. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bhargav, for a well thought out report. I'll move on to the AhCounter, Toastmaster Abhijit, for his findings.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ram. I asked everybody in the beginning to be conscious about what you're going to speak and also try to make a mental note of how many filler words you used. How many of you did that? Great. Hind, perfect. So we have at least some people whom we can use for comparison. Others, I hope at least you were mindful of that. You have to do it. Anybody who remembered it but didn't do it?
I found it difficult to do it while actually talking, but I made an effort to speak a little slower than I normally speak. I think that helped to an extent.
Perfect.
I lost my count.
Go ahead, Sumedh. You lost your count? Okay, I'll let you know. But just to be clear, the idea was never that you actually derail your thought process and actually make a mental note. The idea was only to be mindful of that you have to do this exercise. And if you only do enough, hopefully you can take some kind of action like speak a little slower, as well as try every now and then to stop yourself from making that pause, which in the past you might have been completely oblivious of. Let's start with the different role takers today. I actually categorize my report into the usual filler words, like, so, you know, and, I mean, and repetitions. If there are some words that are not here, but actually somebody used, I actually wrote them separately. Starting with the president and the table topic master for today, you did a really good job overall. You only owe the club 70 rupees. So if I want to break it down, you actually used 4 hours and 2 so's. I think you do in general do a great job. You just want to make sure whenever you transition, you just tend to use so. Sometimes it's not appropriate and it's not required. So just keep an eye on for that. Sumedh, well, your count is that you owe 140 rupees, which is basically 6 hours, 4 so's, 3 you knows. I think is something that is just used by everybody. And the place where I saw being used the most is when you actually are going to stop from one thought and move to another. Please try to make pauses. So I'm not going to spend too much time on us. Other unique things about everybody. I think Sumedh, you tend to use so and you know way more than anybody else. Sometimes you just say something and you say, you know, that's completely unnecessary. You're just maybe waiting for some feed expressions before you move on to something else or whatever. So please refrain from using that. You don't really need it. Other than that, Bhargav, you use 17 hours, some 2 so's, 2 you knows, and 1 repetition. I found a really contrasting thing between your report as a timer, as well as introduction and the report, as well as your table topic speech. Interestingly, I didn't find anything in your table topic speech. It was almost flawless. There were some repetitions here and there, but then in general, it was way, way better than your timer report. The same goes for Arjun. Arjun did a brilliant job in his table topics. I think you really didn't use anything, any filler word in your table topics, which again basically tells me whenever you have to try to remember something and you want to try to speak exactly what you thought you will, you end up creating filler words. Whereas in table topics, you're somehow able to give yourself a free hand, a free expression, and you just kind of go with the flow and you do a great job at it. If you were able to think about that and somehow bring that into your prepared speeches, I think you'll go a long way. And that's something you can definitely take up on. All others were pretty much within the line, like less than 10 filler words. Some notable mentions of interesting filler words that are used, which are out of the norm, are all right and right, which were used by Sumedh and Hind. You tend to finish the sentence by all right and right, almost like asking a question, but you're not really asking any question, so you can avoid that. Supriya, one thing I noticed, especially for you, was you tend to extend a certain alphabet, like the last word of the sentence when you're trying to think what to come next, what to go next. Maybe go ahead and think about these things and go back and look at your video. That will actually give you a good closure. I certainly believe the actual feedback you'll get is when you go back and look at your actual speech video. Otherwise, all of this thing will not make sense at all. With that, great job. Overall, I think there were a lot of positives. We did a really good job at largely impromptu session today. So just keep that up. Just be mindful of that. Remember, you have to take something and implement in next meeting and not just leave it there. That's all for my report. Hand it back to Toastmaster Ram.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abhijit Kaul. So you saw the friend, protector, and mentor give you a lot of input. Hopefully we'll action that. Go back and look at your videos and put that into action for the next time. The last but not least, the prickly grammarian, Toastmaster Arjun. Can you please share your report?
All right. So I had a conversation with the word of the day, and he was extremely desperate and famished for not being called out upon due to the lack of diction we provided it. Although Sumedh tried to break the record of word of the day count, which was 14 at that moment, and then I heard Ram use it once, and I probably used it again. So the word of day count stands at around 16 if I'm not wrong, and officially it has been used twice. With that being said, with respect to time, I'll try to breeze through the fine of this thing. I'll start with the SAA. So the grammatical errors were before the camera. It should be in front of the camera. On the Monday morning can be on a Monday morning. Moving on to the TMoD. Well, the TMoD had a very good set of content prepared, but he actually had a tendency to use and a lot of times. He started connecting sentences using and, which can lead to bad grammar. So please try to work upon it. It can spoil your hard work as if you try to connect well-constructed sentences using and. Boring and mundane lives was a good usage of a phrase. Like I really appreciated it. I'll move on to the GE. Our GE is definitely the best at grammar. I should not be comparing people, but across all the meetings, I find it so hard to find faults when Toastmaster Ram comes on the stage. So great job by Toastmaster Ram. Toastmaster Bhargav. Well, Toastmaster Bhargav had a slight error where he said started to plan to wrap it up. So it can be when you start to wrap up, or you can just reduce that phrase. Other than that, I don't think there were many errors. AhCounter was also quite good with his content. Other than that, there was a slight error when he said wait for it 5 years when he was talking about the tiger. It should have been wait for it for this. And my fatigued state I am in, when you just talk about your fatigued state, you don't have to emphasize you were in that state. So my fatigued state can suffice the purpose. I'll move on to the speech evaluator. I honestly could not find many grammatical errors, although there were times where I could not hear you due to maybe the lack of stream connectivity. But whenever I heard you, I did not find any errors at all. I'll move on to the first speaker. The first speaker made one error repeatedly. It was return back. You never say return back, you just say return. So when he was talking about the plane, he should have used return instead of return back. You don't need to add that. And about this bullet holes can be about these bullet holes. I think he knows the difference. It might be a slight error due to the mistakes. And I'll move, sorry for using and again. I'll move on to the table topic speeches. The stories which were used, I felt that everybody was switching. I'll give an overall overview of the stories. Everybody was switching from past tense to present tense while they were talking. Even the speaker who had his content was switching in the tenses, and the other speaker who had to carry on from there switched the tense. So when you're talking about story, you switch to past tense and you carry on the flow with the same tense. You do not change it, because then there can be lack of consistency. With that, I'll end my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your voice is garbled completely.
Is better, I hope.
No.
Okay, I don't know what else to do. Everything is my end. Now, so. I know. So I'll just pass on back on to the next person. So the Toastmaster was not able to take from. I'll try to sleep right.
Sorry,
I just understood that I have to speak up now. All right. It is a drastic change to hear the mellifluous voice of Ram to the Kraken voice of Ram, but that's absolutely fine. Anyway, it is ironical. I find this ironical that this is the longest Toastmasters meet I have been involved with, and we were supposed to be tired the entire time. So we did a good job in masking our tiredness. Anyway, now we have, I'll be posting up the links for these. So please go ahead and vote for them. And so Hind, maybe you can let me know once everyone has voted. Are we getting there, Hind?
We have 11 votes. There are 14 people, so I'm guessing a lot of people are yet to vote.
All right. While we are doing that, let me actually smuggle in one more small bit. Can all of us again unmute ourselves? I have something else to say so that we really get the word famished in our brains. All right. We'll really imprint it today. And also we'll get the record doubled. Okay. All right. This time around, I have opened up the Cambridge dictionary and I'll be reading out the first example. So we'll be doing this fast and then we'll be telling what the results are. Okay. All right. So the example here is, have some snacks with us, you must be famished.
Have some snacks with us.
Snacks with us, you must be
You must be famished.
Yeah, and famished means that you are really extremely hungry, ravenous. All right. If you don't remember famished after this, I can't help you much. Anyway, all right. I'm getting in the results. Oh, is this what I voted or is this what everyone voted in? Anyway, we seem to be in agreement. So the best speaker award goes to Hind. Congratulations. The best evaluator was Arjun. Congratulations. And the best storyteller was again Arjun. So congratulations. So all the experience paid off, huh, Arjun? Anyway, so with that, I would like to officially conclude my part of the meet and back to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Hind. Lakkad Geel, if I pronounce it right. Lakkad Geel.
Almost there. Almost there. It's Lakkad Bagga.
Lakkad Bagga.
So more stress on K and G. Lakkad Bagga. Yes, exactly. All right. Great meeting. I am extremely sorry, Bhargav, for elongating the meeting, for stretching the meeting out too long. I was anticipating that it will be done in 20 to 25 minutes, but then once I was finished with my own introduction of the table topic session, it was already 5-6 minutes, I think, something like that. But it was great hearing all the stories. I figured something out of this session, which I'm going to come to in a minute, but it was great to see that Arjun was raring to date a girl while while Abhijit was making sure that their shuttle will crash somehow, while Sumedh just did not want to date anyone and want to discard everybody. It was an amazing session, and as Arjun has already pointed this one point out about the storytelling of everybody, we tend to bring in our own perception and then we lose some basic. I think my internet is flaky, so if you cannot hear me properly, I'm sorry about that. When we bring in our perception, there's just one thing that can happen and which destroys the flow, and that is we change the subject or we change the tense. The tense of the story is usually present or past. Nobody writes in future, obviously. So either you're saying something is ongoing or something has happened. So most of the prompts that I gave were in past. In fact, all of the prompts that I gave were in past, but it happened a number of times that the speaker started speaking like they were there, and they are there, and it is happening now. That's change of tense. Another thing is change of subject. 3 out of the 5 prompts I gave were third person, which means I mentioned Amit, I mentioned Rahul, and I mentioned one other person which I cannot find. So basically I gave a third person prompt, in which case it would be a good idea for you to continue in that prompt rather than bring yourself in the story. And same thing happened when I gave the first person prompt. It sometimes happened then that the storyteller started talking about the story in a third person point of view. Apart from that, one thing became quite clear to me in this session, that we as the speakers are able to construct sentences. We have some thoughts on the spot and we are able to put them in words. Some or the other how, provided a prompt, provided some starting or some ending that we have in mind, we are able to streamline it. With that out of our hands, I think we will in future move to progressing or improving our speaking, to speak in a more cohesive manner, to speak in a more continuously undisturbed manner. And let's see if we can come up with some good table topic sessions for that, or some good meetings overall for that. With that, I would like to conclude the meeting. We have 3 guests with us, Sowmya, Milind, and the third guest has disappeared, but we have Ajay as well. So we have Ajay, Sowmya, and Milind. If you have any feedback for us, feel free to let us know. Critical, non-critical, praise, always welcome, but everything is welcome actually.
It was a great session. I hope I'm audible, guys. I almost feel like my home club now. I've always I've put that on my chat as well. Just that stick to the timelines is what I would suggest. It's great. You bring in varieties. Most of you guys are like really good speakers, and impromptu, you guys are like pros in it, right? So all that is really good, but just stick to the time what is being given, the schedule, right? That's one suggestion what I have. That's about it.
Awesome sessions. As always, I don't attend regularly or anything, but whenever I did, it was totally enjoyable. One thing I'm seeing and noticing and missing is that the number of participants. They used to be around 25, 30. I can see it has gone down to around 15 now. I hope we bring back the charm of Toastmasters to the table again.
Yeah, I think it's part of the reason is the online interface, which is not for everybody, is what we have understood up until now, but we are constantly working towards it. We are trying to find out ways so that people find value in it and they come and attend. Well, with that, if any of the members
And in any of your casual team meetings, if you can bring it up and ask Toastmasters if you see the value there for the people who are not here, just kind of push them to come and try once, and then we'll see from there.
Just to note one thing though, today's partly my enthusiasm to attend the meeting was Shreya's email. Nicely written, very nicely written.
Yep. We try to continue to do that.
Awesome.
Thanks, Milind. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes just the leadership push actually makes a difference. So whenever there's a right forum, if you can bring it up with the team, we'll probably see more participants.
Yes.
All right, we had 970 rupees in total that everybody who used filler words have to deposit. 200 are from Bhargav and 140 are from Sumedh. So I guess you can reach out to Arjun, but maybe this is something that we can introduce at some point of time in a serious note if you're up. But
well, we'll begin with 1 rupee then.
Well, the rules were not laid out while I was speaking, so before I was speaking, so it doesn't count for me.
That reminds me of school, by the way. We used to have fine if we spoke in Kannada.
Did it work for you?
50 paisa fine and all.
I have a doubt. Is this a norm for all meetings or was it a special edition?
It was just, we can do that. Some clubs are.
No. I was just obviously my thoughts are towards the other.
Yeah, because you can't really spend it on your own. You get that part, right?
And obviously, I'll file for bankruptcy as always. So,
I mean, the amount of mistakes we make, I don't know how much we might end up spending.
We know how much if you are actually going to file bankruptcy for 140 rupees. I think you really need to look at what you're doing with the money.
Believe me, you are not alone.
What kind of loan have you taken, Sumedh?
Sure, I'm going to tell it out in front of everyone, especially knowing that this video will go on YouTube. So sure.
Yes.
Personal loans are meant to be personal. So.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a nice meeting. Hind, do you still want to do the screenshot thingy?
No, it's a close from me. Thank you everyone for attending and see you next week. Hang around for one quick click.